You are.
Mark Pellington.
Well, you are
director
the director
of The Last Word.
The director of The Last Word, and you have with you whom? Who are you?
Stuart Ross Fink, the writer of The Last Word.
Hi, Stuart. Stuart Ross Fink. That's really a great
Stuart's
name.
mic is not working, I think.
I think
Let's
we
try
got a
it
little
again.
out of it.
Let's try it again.
Yeah, how's that?
There
we
go.
go. Okay. That's better.
Stuart.
1, 2.
Yeah, we got you. You have Shirley MacLaine in your movie. That's pretty cool. How did that happen?
Stuart wrote an incredible script and wrote it kind of with the idea of what would happen if Aurora Greenway, from terms of endearment, 25 years later, what happened to that character?
Really?
And that's
Love her.
And that really is what that's the premise, kind of.
No, not necessarily. It's more like the roles that this woman Shirley has played are so sort of indelible. We wanted to sort of create a character of that type of character, as Mark said, 25 years later.
And she wanted to revisit all that. That was obviously appealing to her to go back to.
Yeah, it's a story of a controlling woman who tries to do the ultimate act of controlling the last thing that you can control in your life, which is her obituary. Oh. So she goes on this journey to learn a lot about herself, and in the meantime, Amanda Seyfried kind of learns a lot about herself. And it's a great two-hander. It's a great woman's story about empowerment and understanding.
This is pretty cool. This could have also been almost a two-woman play. Did you ever conceive of it as that as well?
Not at first, but I certainly think you're correct, and it would actually make a great stage play.
Is it difficult to take something like this, and that's where your talent, of course, Mark Pellington, the director, is it difficult to take something like that and make it cinematic? What did you do? Because we haven't seen it, obviously. How do you do it?
I've made a few pictures before, and first you work with the story and the characters, but there's a road trip. It's a visual piece.
So they go on the road.
It's a visual piece, and it's opened up, and oftentimes you try to take a script and make it cinematic, but you can also bring something to life without many locations. So this Stuart and I had known each other. He had come from advertising. I had directed some commercials, and he told me, this is a few years ago, he told me this idea. We develop it, get it, and it all comes down to getting talent. And so once Shirley and Amanda came on board, it kind of clicked into place.
Even with those two in the lead, you've got a hell of a cast here. Anne Heche.
Jeez.
You got Tom Everett Scott, Thomas Sado. You got a hell of a
Philip
cast here.
Baker
Philip
Hall.
Baker Hall.
Philip Baker
Really?
Hall is in here.
Yeah, he's always terrific.
And you've done a lot of work with music. I'm wondering about the music in this movie, if that plays.
The music's great in the movie because one of the story points of what Shirley sets out to write the perfect obituary, and there's four ingredients you need for the perfect obituary. Which are
Loved by your family, loved or respected by your colleagues, perhaps touched the life of someone unexpected, and the wild card, which is that one interesting thing that we all try and accomplish in our lives that makes great copy.
Not gone fishing? Not gone fishing?
it could be state bass fishing champion,
Okay.
Right.
died peacefully in his sleep today.
Okay.
Ballroom champion.
dancer, right?
So she sets out, any great movie has a great quest. So they go out literally on the road, meet a young girl who, people, when you go on the road, your lives are changed because of the unexpected things happening.
It's called The Last Word. We're talking to the director, Mark Pellington, and the writer, Stuart Ross Fink. Do you read obituaries of both of you in the paper? Do you look at them and read them?
I did for this, but it's not something that I do on a regular basis.
I find myself doing it just in the local paper, and not to see if I know people, although they do kind of turn up.
He'll bring it to our radio show and make it part of the news.
Occasionally.
And not a famous person, just a regular
Because
citizen.
you'll find these stories, you'll go, oh my God, this person who's not famous lived this life
Exactly.
that is amazing.
Exactly.
Everybody's life is interesting.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, I was sitting on a plane next to a woman, and she's writing something. I said, "Oh, what are you writing?" She goes, "My memoir." And she goes, "I'm not anybody, but I've had a really interesting life." I just finished the film after this called Nostalgia with John Hamm, Ellen Burstyn, and one of the lines is talking about lives lived. We all live in it. So I think as we get a little bit closer to the finish line, we reflect on our lives, and therefore if we look at obituaries, we look at other people's lives, and you see, like, leave 5 grandchildren, 10 great-grandchildren, member of the church, and in a way inspires you to ask yourself, how am I living my life? You know, how am I, is it fulfilling? Is it, you know?
Yeah. Although sometimes you read them and you go, that's it? Why, you know, why did you bother putting anything in here?
They were born and they died.
I mean, really, it is. But then you do find those gems of just people as amazing.
I actually read, I read some the other day, and you know, and you look at what's the natural age of things, and they can only be inspiring. So it's really, what is your relationship to death? If you're not afraid of it, like Shirley's got a great relationship to it. She's lived many lives.
She's been reincarnated.
Ask her. So she's like, well, what life? And so when you do that, when you tread into that without fear, and you're like, it's actually very freeing. So the movie kind of touches into that in a funny way.
I like the idea of writing your own, because when your family writes your obituary, that's how they remember you. I think it's totally different writing your own, telling your own story.
Well, now your premiere is Tuesday, is that right? Or have you already had one?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night at the Eccles at 6:30. Wednesday at 9 a.m. also at the Eccles.
Yeah, there's a lot of tickets available for Wednesday morning screening. I think tomorrow night might be sold out.
Yeah. Saturday at 9 p.m. at the Broadway Center Cinema 6.
Yep.
And Sunday down in Provo at the Sundance Mountain Resort Screening Room at 1 p.m.
It's called The Last Word. Shirley MacLaine, Amanda Seyfried, and then tons of other people, including Philip Baker Hall.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. I get his name mixed around sometimes, but God, he's a great actor. I love that guy.
Fantastic.
Good guy.
Thanks a lot for being here, you guys. Mark Pellington,
Thanks for having
director, Stuart Ross Fink, the writer. Great success. Hope you do well with it.
Thank you.
I think
Thank you very much.
I think this is one we're probably going to be seeing around awards season. You know what I mean?
Hope so.
I think so.
From your lips to God's ears.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
All right. We will take a break here in a moment. Do you have